Hey BMS. So this month I thought we would focus on a particular author. I want to start looking more into some of our most popular authors and learning more about them as people. So this month we're going to talk about an awesome guy named Jordan Sonnenbleck. Here's a picture. So Jordan Sonnenbleck is a middle school author, and he has kind of a neat life story. He was born in Missouri, actually, on the 4th of July, and his dad was stationed here at an army base, so he was born here. But when he was just about a year old, he moved to New York City, and he grew up in New York. When he was in school, loved English class, loved to write, always kind of loved to doodle and play with words. And he made straight A's, but he got in trouble a lot. He says his teachers didn't really know what to do with him as a student because he made straight A's and he was really smart, but he was bad in class because he was full of energy and had a tough time kind of settling down for school. So he cleaned that up, though, and got much better when he went to high school, and the girls he liked started teasing him for being immature. So he straightened that up and ended up having a great high school. Went on to college, did like everything he could do in college. He played drums, he loves to do theater, he did biking, was really involved, and ended up graduating with a teaching degree. He joined the Teach for America program, which is a really neat program where you can go all over the country and they place you somewhere to teach in an area where they have trouble finding teachers. So he ended up teaching English in Texas, in Houston, Texas, and he loved it. But he met his wife and moved to Pennsylvania, and that's where he settled down. He taught 8th grade English for 11 years in Pennsylvania and loved it, said he would have been a teacher forever. But he had a student in his class named Emily, and Emily had a brother who had cancer, and she was going through a really tough time trying to deal with all of that. And Miss Jordan Sonnenbleck, the teacher, thought he would find her a book so she could relate and read the book and feel better. And he looked everywhere and couldn't find a book. There was no good book for a middle schooler about what it's like when your sibling has cancer. So he wrote it. It's called Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, and it's one of the books we're going to talk about here in a second. So that's how he became an author. He's written one book a year ever since. He's won tons of awards. He's a really, really famous realistic fiction author. So we're going to focus on his books here in a second. A little bit more about him. He loves to bicycle. He loves the New York Yankees, and he's just a really neat all-around guy. So let's take a second and talk about each of his books that we have here in the library. So the first two books we're going to look at are actually two books that go together. The first one is Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, and it's about a boy named Steven who is living just a normal life, normal high school kid, and his little brother gets diagnosed with cancer, and his whole family kind of just falls apart. He doesn't know how to handle it. His brother is he's only 5, and so he's really struggling with it. And this is actually the book that Jordan wrote that made him an author. So the second book is called After Ever After, and this one picks up several years after his brother Jeffrey is cancer-free, and his cancer's in remission, and he's learning how to live with cancer. Well, after surviving cancer, and so he's learning like what it's like to get your life back. And his older brother, who was the main character in the first book, Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, has now like ran off to Africa to be a beat drummer because he's like totally lost his mind and is trying to find himself. So it's a really interesting book. It follows pair of books actually. It follows the family through this horrible ordeal and how they recover afterwards. So that's Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, and the second book, After Ever After. So the next one we're going to look at is called Curveball: The Year I Lost My Grip. And this is the story of Peter Friedman. He's a high school freshman, and because of a total freak injury, he throws his arm out playing baseball. He basically can't ever pitch again. So he kind of gets into photography because it was something his grandfather liked. His grandpa gives him like thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment, and he kind of takes it from there. And he meets a girl in photography class, and there's kind of a little bit of romance going on there. This book has friendship and romance, a great family. You learn a lot about the family, and some tragedy, yet still somehow manages to be hilarious. So really good book. Another good one. Let's take a look at the next book. That leads us to Zen and the Art of Faking It. This is the story of 8th grader San Lee, and he has moved for like the umpteenth time in his life, and he's at a new school, and he has to make new friends again, and he's kind of over the whole thing. So he decides to just lay back and stay out of the main limelight. Until one day in history class where he seems to answer way too many questions and know way too much stuff. And everyone wants to know how he knows everything. Well, he says that it's because he's the master of Zen, which is kind of an old meditation art. And so begins our story of Zen and the Art of Faking It. So very funny story about a kid just kind of trying to find his way. A lot of good laughs along the way. So that's Zen and the Art of Faking It. Next comes Dodger and Me, and this is truly just a funny book about a kid who has an imaginary best friend that's a giant blue chimp. And the giant blue chimp is trying to convince him to improve his life. It's very silly, very funny, lots of hysterical antics that come along the way, because when your best friend is very ornery and says a lot of crazy things, it's only a problem if nobody else can see him. So that's Dodger and Me. And the final Jordan Sonnenblick book we're going to talk about is called Notes from a Midnight Driver. Now, warning, this one is young adult. But this is the story of 16-year-old Alex, who's kind of fed up with his parents and being 16 and trying to find a girlfriend. And he's mad at his dad because his parents are separated and his dad is dating his third grade teacher from back when he was in third grade. And he's just mad at the whole thing. He decides to get revenge on his parents, but ends up getting in major trouble with the law and assigned to do community service at a senior center. And that's where he meets Solomon. And Solomon is an elderly man with quite an attitude. And the two kind of learn a lot about each other and learn a lot about life together. So another great book, but again, this one is young adult. So that's it from Jordan Sonnenblick. Next, we're going to take a look at what some students have to say this month.
Hi, my name is Bella Brandt, and this is Mr. Death's Blue-Eyed Girls by Mary Downing Hahn. And it's about this guy in Elmer Grove that something really tragic happens, and everybody blames him for it. Maybe it's not him.
I'm Alexis, and this is A Wrinkle in Time, and I like this book because it has a lot of adventure and mysteries and twists, and it sometimes makes you confused, but in a good way, and that's why I like it.
Hi, I'm Chase Laxton, 6th grade, and this is Tim Quest, Stone Warriors. It's the 4th book in the series about a boy named Alex, and he's running all over the world just to look for his mom. And he's run into these things called Deathwalkers, who he has had to fight each and every one.
Got in the third Babysitter's Club book this month, a new Twisted Journeys book, Shipwrecked on Mad Island. Second book in the Allie Carter series about They All Fall Down. This one is See How They Run. Newt's book 2, To Catch a Cheat, by the same author as The Great Green Heist. We got in 2 more Predator and Prey books. We got in a biography on Odell Beckham Jr., 2 more Artie the Donut books, a new memoir, A Work in Progress, Jack, the new book by the author of Rump. The first book in a new series we're going to be getting called The 13-Story Treehouse. A Night Divided, very good new historical fiction by the author of The False Prince, The Only Girl in School, The Unwritten Rule, new young adult romance, Prom and Prejudice, another new romance, and a great new realistic fiction book, Ruby Lee and Me. Hey guys, I have some exciting news in the technology world this month. A lot of you guys come into the library to check your grades on our SIS K-12 system. Well, this month they launched an app, and so I'm going to walk you guys through how to download the app in case you're interested. Now, I'm going to be doing it on my iPhone, so you're going to be seeing it through the Apple model, but if you guys have an Android device and you use the Google Play Store, they have it too. So we're going to start by going to the App Store. That is, of course, the little blue icon that says App Store. And we're going to type in the search Tyler SIS Student 360. I know that's a lot. But once I type in TYLER for Tyler, and then I type in student, it like pops right up. Tyler SIS Student 360, and it's the only thing that pops up. It's this little blue icon with a little graduation cap on it, and of course I'm going to press Get. It's free, and then Install. I'm sure it's going to pop up and ask for my Apple ID. No, I'm not telling you. So I type that in, and of course it's downloading. And so we wait. Woohoo! It's done. So now I click Open. And here is what the app looks like when it pulls up. Now, the very first time you log into it, it says I'm going to have to select my school. It says, thanks for installing it, blah, blah, blah. Before you log in, select the school district where your student is enrolled. That's you. You're the student. So I click Continue. It says, enter at least the first 3 characters of your zip code. So I'm going to type in our zip code. It's 65340. Click Search. Oh, there we get a bunch of schools. Marshall's the second one on the list. Click on it. Pops up, and now it looks a lot like it does when you guys log in online. It has, oh, come on, get it. There we go. It has staff, parent, or student, and then you can enter your username or password based on it. Let's see if my camera will focus on it. There we go. So you're going to type in your username and password like you normally use it. Your username is your lunch number, just like in the library. Your password is your original password, is your birthday in 2-digit form. So I was born on November 3rd of 83. So mine would be 11 for November, 03 for the 3rd, and 83 for the year. So make sure if you have a single digit birthday like mine, that you include the 0 before it. So 110383. That's your password. Once you log in for the first time, you'll have to change your password. And I know that's been a big issue for a lot of you guys. Change your password and you didn't remember them. It has been highly recommended by a lot of teachers that you change it to either your lunch pin as well, or your last name, like it is when you log into Destiny Quest in the library, just something to help you remember it. But then, for those of you who have mobile devices, you'll be able to check your grades right there on your phone, which is super handy. So I hope that's something that can help you guys this month. Well, that does it for the March edition of What's New in the Library. I hope somewhere this month you saw a book that you would like to read. Now, a quick note on the contest this month. We're having a bookmark contest. So stop by the library and we're going to have little mini versions of bookmarks that you can grab, design them, turn them back in, and we're going to pick out of those bookmarks to make bookmarks for the library next year. We're going to have them printed in color and everything. So go ahead and break out the inner artist inside of you and design some great bookmarks for us. So that's about it. I hope everybody has a super month. We'll see you in April.